Let's talk about a quiet, very Canadian corporate exodus. One that's been unfolding under the radar, but is now impossible to ignore. While headlines are filled with political drama and tech layoffs, something else is happening. A steady, determined migration of major companies, quietly packing up and heading north. That's right, big American companies are moving north, to Canada. It's not just a trickle, it's becoming a trend. From tech giants to financial firms, household names are loading up their operations and setting their sights on Canadian cities. While we're distracted by everything else, a steady stream of these corporations is heading for the land of maple syrup and hockey. It's a shift that's changing the business landscape on both sides of the border, and it's happening faster than most people realize. This isn't just about taxes or mergers, it's about where global companies want to call home, and increasingly, it's not the US anymore. These companies are looking for a place that offers more than just financial incentives. They want stability, opportunity, and a welcoming environment for innovation. Why? Canada offers smarter tax policies, easier access to global markets, political stability, and a deep pool of skilled workers. The Canadian government has made it easier for companies to set up shop, hire talent from around the world, and tap into international trade networks. For many CEOs, it's a no-brainer. When companies move, they take high-paying jobs, tax revenue, and a piece of America's economic identity with them. Entire communities can feel the impact, from empty office buildings to shuttered factories. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's real people, real livelihoods, and the future of entire towns. Tonight, we'll unpack this northern migration, why it's happening, who's making the move, and why it's driving some people, especially a certain former president, absolutely nuts. The debate is heating up, with politicians and pundits pointing fingers and demanding answers. This is about more than business. It's about the future of the American economy. As companies leave, questions arise about what's next for American workers, investors, and the country's role in the global marketplace. So, why is Canada suddenly the corporate promised land? What's drawing these companies north, and what does it mean for both countries? Let's find out and see how this quiet migration could reshape the economic map of North America. You can't have a story about US companies leaving without mentioning Donald Trump. His response? Predictably explosive, furious tweets, accusations of betrayal, and threats of border taxes. Trump sees these moves as a personal insult, a rejection of his America First economic platform. But his reaction, public shaming and threats, misses the point. Corporations aren't sentimental, they're following the numbers, not fleeing out of spite. Trump's unpredictable policies and trade wars are part of what's driving companies away. His outrage is a neon sign pointing to the real problem, instability. Instead of calming the waters, he's making them choppier. For CEOs, the choice is clear stability in Canada or chaos at home, and no amount of presidential tweeting is going to change that math. Let's talk taxes, the number one reason for this corporate migration. Taxes might not be the most exciting topic, but for businesses, they're often the deciding factor in where to set up shop. Every year, companies weigh the pros and cons of staying put or seeking greener pastures, and more often than not, it's the taxman who tips the scales. The US slashed its corporate tax rate a few years ago, hoping to keep companies at home. But even with that headline-grabbing cut, the American tax system remains a tangled web. There's a patchwork of federal, state, and local taxes, each with its own rules, exceptions, and surprise fees. For many businesses, just figuring out what they owe can feel like running a marathon blindfolded. The headline rate is 21%, which sounds competitive on paper. But once you add in state taxes, some of which can be quite hefty, many companies find themselves paying closer to 30%. And that's before you factor in compliance costs, audits, and the constant risk of new regulations popping up overnight. Now let's look north. Canada's system is refreshingly straightforward. There's a federal rate of 15%, and when you add in provincial taxes, the combined average is about 26.5%. It's a touch higher than the US base rate, but here's the kicker. It's far more predictable. No sudden changes, no hidden fees, and no last-minute surprises. But the real draw for innovative companies? Canada's generous R&D tax credits. These incentives are designed to reward companies that invest in new ideas, technology, and research. For startups and tech giants alike, it's like getting a golden ticket to fund their next big breakthrough. For companies like Uploven, the math is simple. In the US, you might get a slightly lower rate, but you're signing up for a world of complexity and uncertainty. In Canada, you get stability, transparency, and a big boost if you're focused on innovation. It's a trade-off, but for many, the choice is clear. This isn't about patriotism or national pride, it's about making smart business decisions. When the numbers make sense, loyalty takes a backseat to logic. The US offered a tax cut, hoping to keep companies from leaving. But Canada offers something even more appealing. A full R&D spa day, where your investment in innovation is pampered and rewarded. For CFOs and finance teams, the choice is obvious. Predictability, lower compliance costs, and generous incentives for research and development make Canada a compelling destination. In the end, predictability and innovation incentives win every time. Companies want to focus on growth, not on deciphering tax codes or bracing for the next regulatory curveball. That's why the northbound migration is accelerating. More and more businesses are packing up and heading to Canada, chasing a system that just makes more sense for their bottom line. At the end of the day, the numbers just add up better in Canada. For companies looking to innovate and grow, it's not just about paying less. It's about getting more value for every dollar spent. The next big draw? Trade agreements. Canada has free trade deals with the EU and Pacific nations, giving companies easy access to huge markets. The US pulled out of the TPP, leaving American firms to navigate tariffs and trade barriers. Move your headquarters to Canada and suddenly you're selling to Europe and Asia with minimal friction. For manufacturers, it's like upgrading from dial-up to fiber optic. Global access, no drama. Companies like Magna International leverage this every day, shipping parts worldwide with ease. While the US picks trade fights, Canada quietly builds bridges. For businesses, that stability is gold. The world opens up when you're based in Canada. It's a strategic advantage that's hard to ignore, and it's pulling more companies north. Political stability might sound boring, but for business, it's priceless. The US has been a roller coaster of shutdowns, policy swings, and social upheaval. For companies planning years ahead, that's a nightmare. Canada, by contrast, is the gold standard of boring stability. Its political system is built on consensus and continuity. No wild swings, no sudden policy reversals. Companies investing in Canada know the rules won't change overnight. That predictability is a magnet for investment. It's not just theory. Pharma and tech firms are betting billions on Canada's steady hand. In the US, everything's up for debate. In Canada, the basics are settled. For global businesses, that's a huge relief. Stability isn't flashy, but it's exactly what companies crave, and it's a big reason they're heading north. The final piece of the puzzle? It's all about people, specifically attracting and retaining top-tier talent from around the world. In today's global economy, the ability to draw in skilled professionals is what sets thriving countries apart from the rest. Canada's immigration system stands out as fast, efficient, and welcoming for skilled workers. Unlike the US, where the process is often bogged down by endless paperwork, restrictive quotas, and a lottery system that leaves many hopefuls in limbo, Canada rolls out the red carpet for global talent. The process is streamlined, transparent, and designed to bring in the best and brightest. For companies, this means they can bring in international talent to Canada in a matter of weeks, not months or even years. The speed and simplicity of the process make it easier for businesses to scale quickly and stay competitive in a fast-moving world. But it's not just about importing talent. Canadian universities are powerhouses producing world-class STEM graduates every year. These students leave school with cutting-edge skills, and thanks to lower tuition costs, without the crushing student debt that burdens so many of their American peers. The result? A bigger, more diverse, and more affordable talent pool. Young professionals can actually afford to live in the cities where they work, making Canada an even more attractive destination for ambitious minds. That's why tech giants like Google and Amazon are rapidly expanding their presence in Canada. It's not just about tax breaks or incentives. It's about tapping into this deep well of brainpower and innovation that's growing stronger every year. This creates a virtuous cycle. More talent attracts more companies, and more companies attract even more talent. The ecosystem feeds itself, driving growth and opportunity for everyone involved. For any company that thrives on innovation, Canada's workforce is a massive draw. The collaborative, multicultural environment sparks new ideas and breakthroughs every day. Meanwhile, the US is losing ground in the global talent war. As opportunities dry up and immigration hurdles grow higher, companies are following the brains northward. Canada's brain gain is, in many ways, America's brain drain. The flow of talent is shifting, and with it, the future of innovation. This shift is reshaping the corporate map of North America, redrawing the lines of where the next big ideas and the next big companies will emerge. But what about the workers left behind? When companies move north, it's not just jobs lost, it's entire communities hollowed out. Cities like Dayton and Rochester have seen it before. Jobs vanish, local businesses close, tax bases shrink. The ripple effects are devastating. Schools, libraries, and public services all suffer. Workers face tough choices: lower-paying jobs, retraining, or uprooting their families. Losing jobs to Canada stings even more. It's not about cheap labor, but about stability and smarter policies. For American workers, job security now depends on national policy, not just company performance. The human cost of this migration is real and growing. So what does this mean for the US-Canada relationship? We've always been close partners, but now Canada is outmaneuvering the US for business. This could lead to deeper integration. Canada as the R&D hub, the US as the consumer market. Or it could spark resentment and protectionism, with the US treating Canada as a rival. The most likely outcome? Somewhere in between. The US will have to rethink its competitiveness. Canada's success is a wake-up call. Instability and broken systems are liabilities. The future depends on how America responds, learn and adapt, or double down on bluster. The choice will shape North America's economic future, and the world is watching. Why should you care? Because this isn't just about corporations, it's about the future of American jobs and prosperity. Every company that leaves takes high-paying jobs, tax revenue, and a piece of America's competitive edge. Enough cracks in the foundation and the whole structure is at risk. The good news: the US can fix this. Stability, smart policies, and investment in talent are all within reach. The question is whether we have the political will to act. Canada is holding up a mirror, showing us where we've fallen short. We can get angry, or we can get better. The future of American leadership depends on what we do next. And yes, Canada will probably apologize for winning, just before they eat our lunch.